witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
The forest was dark, and the sky looked like it had swallowed the moon. A circle of villagers stood, trembling, not from fear, but from something stronger. Rage. In the middle of them stood a woman, with skin like dried leaves, and eyes like wet charcoal. She did not cry. She did not scream. She only looked back at the people she once knew and smiled. They shouted louder.
Burn the witch! Burn the witch!
The elders pointed their fingers. Children hid behind their mothers. A long, long time ago, in a quiet village called Onikoko, something strange began to happen. Every once in a while, when the wind stood still and the crickets stopped chirping, a drum would begin to beat on its own. Slow, deep, and terrible. The drum had no player. No one knew where it came from. But whenever it beat, something horrifying happened. A maiden of exactly 30 years old would disappear forever. Not inside her house, not in her bed, only if she was outside. If she was in her room, the drum would pass her by like a shadow. But if she was outside, gone. Her clothes would be found on the ground, her shoes left behind, but the girl, never again. This happened once every few years, then once every years, then twice a year. And for 50 years, the drum claimed more than 70 women. No one could explain it, and no one ever returned. Out of fears, girls began to marry early. At 18, sometimes even 16. They believed that if they could have a child early, their spirit would live on, even if the drum took them. "Mama, I'm scared," little Amara once said. "Will the drum come for me too?" Her mother hugged her tightly. "Not if you marry young, my child, and if you stay inside once the sun goes down." The rule became clear. Once you turn 29, never step outside at night again. One cold evening, the moon hid behind clouds. The animals were silent. Amara, now 28, was inside her hut with her older sister Ineka, who had just turned 30. They were making soup. Then Ineka decided to go outside and get something. Then they heard it. The sound rolled across the village like thunder in a cave. Amara froze. Her spoon dropped into the pot. She turned around and saw the curtains to the door swinging. "Ineka," she said. No answer. She rushed to the door, just in time to see her sister standing outside, looking at the sky as if hypnotized. "Ineka, come back inside." But her sister stood still. Then, suddenly, she looked at Amara, tears in her eyes. Take care of Mama," she said. And then, silence. Amara screamed, but her sister was no longer there, only her wrapper lying gently on the ground like a leaf. That same night, a hunter named Obi ran to the village square. He had a secret, something he had never told anyone. Many years ago, while hunting near the forbidden forest, he had seen something strange. A woman standing over an old drum, whispering. He didn't believe it was real, but after Ineka disappeared, he spoke out. "I saw her," he told the elders. "I saw a witch in the forest. She was touching the drum." "Do not speak of lies," they warned him. "Do not bring more fears." But Amara believed him. Together, they formed a secret group. the watchers, and began to follow the sound every time the drum beat. They found something strange. The sound always came from the same part of the forest, and every time a girl disappeared, the birds in the area would fly away before the drum beat, as if they knew. One night, with courage heavy in their hearts, Amara, Obi, and a few brave men entered the forest, following the echo of the drum. They walked for hours. Then, they saw it. A great tree, twisted like a snake, stood alone in the middle of a clearing, and under it, the drum. It was old, made of wood and stretched skin, but it glowed faintly, like something alive. Beside it was the same woman Obi had seen. Her eyes were closed, her lips moved as if singing. They hid and watched. When the drum beat, her mouth stopped moving, and the drum beat on its own. When it stopped, she opened her eyes and smiled. They gasped. It was her, the witch. They limped from the bushes and ran towards her. But as they got close, the air around her shimmered like heat. She vanished, then reappeared. You cannot stop what has been sealed, she said. The curse feeds on the fear. Amara shouted, Why? Why are you doing this? The witch stared at her. Because once I too was 30. Once I was thrown away, and then she disappeared again. But now they knew. The cause was not just a drum. It was pain, anger. The villagers gathered the next day. Obi told them everything. The elders at first refused to believe. But when Amara showed them the sketch she made of the tree, one old woman collapsed in tears. That's the Odan tree, she whispered. The one from the tale of Adeza. Everyone turned to her. She explained that 100 years ago, a young woman named Adeza was accused of being a witch. She was 30, unmarried, and still childless. That alone was enough to label her a curse, as at that time. They tied her to the Oden tree and left her there to die. She didn't cry. She just stared at them and said, Your daughters will know my pain. And then she vanished into the forest. Now they knew the truth. The witch was Adeza. She had cursed the village not out of evil, but from a sorrow of being abandoned, betrayed by her own people. Still, the curse had gone on too long. Too many lives lost, too many tears cried. So, the villagers marched into the forest, and this time, Adeza did not run. They found her standing by the tree. Will you break the curse? Amara asked, tears in her eyes. Adeza looked at the crowd. If I do, would you forgive me? Silence. Then the chief said, We will remember you, but we cannot forgive the pain. The villagers shouted, Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Flames rose. Adeza closed her eyes and then lifted her hands. The drum shattered into dust. The Oden tree cracked in half, and a whisper flew into the night. No more daughters shall disappear. Since that day, the drum was never heard again. Girls no longer feared turning 30. They married when they wanted, laughed without fear. The price that Adeza paid for breaking the curse was to be trapped by the same power she once controlled. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss any story. Let's grow this community together.